Hello, my friends. Jerry Rosa here in the Rosa String Works Workshop with another edition of Shop Talk. I believe this is number 46. I'm looking for viewers to start adding on here. I never feel comfortable until I see at least one viewer. So, because you never know, you could just be talking to yourself. And I've done that plenty of times. We've got a good shop talk for you this morning. I've got a guest appearance and of a friend, of a relative, a friend, and a neighbor. It's actually my son, and he's starting a new YouTube channel called the Homestead Horsemanship, and I'm going to bring him on right now, and we're going to talk about his new channel. I think you're going to find it exciting. I'm going to put a link to his channel in the description of this video. In fact, Caleb could even do that while we're talking here if he wanted to. It's called the Homestead Horsemanship, Caleb, and it's out on YouTube. This is my son, JR. He's Jerry Jr., but we just go by JR. And I'll let JR just kind of tell you a little bit about what he plans to do with his channel. I see 26 viewers out there already, so we're moving.
All right, hello. Following in my father's footsteps, except I'm not talented with instruments. I'm gifted with horses. My channel will be mostly horse training videos, but also some farm and just general interest videos because I own the neighboring farm just down the way from my father's farm. I work primarily with Missouri Foxtrotters, which is a gaited horse breed, and all the lessons I'll be teaching will be applicable to almost any gaited breed of horse. I notice there's not a lot of horse videos out there on the internet that have to do solely with gaited horse breeds. I train gaited Missouri Foxtrotters for both trail riding, like finished trail horses, getting them gentle desensitized, but I also train some for show. I've competed in the show ring for probably 6 years off and on, so not a lot of experience, but in that 6 years I've won multiple reserve world championships, 1 or 2 world championships, and this year I'm making a prediction. My daughter Rebecca, 14 years old, she has her own 2-year-old horse. We're just started. You'll see her in the videos, and I'm fairly confident we're going to win the amateur owned and trained 2-year-old World Grand Championship at Ava in September.
You should never say that ahead of time.
You gotta aim high. Have big dreams.
You just don't want to jinx yourself.
Speak life into it.
Yeah, the way he got into horses was kind of honest. He was 2 years old, and my dad would drag him everywhere with horses and dogs and animals, and so he grew up to love horses, dogs, and animals. And for me, all I did was to shovel the other end of them. That's pretty much all I ever did. I hauled hay, shoveled you know what, and filled up water barrels and fed animals. That was kind of my life growing up, so I never did see the fun side of it.
Yeah, my grandpa's name was Elmo Rosa. He was one of the founding fathers of the breed. He started the St. Louis Regional Foxtrot Association, and he's in the Hall of Fame down at Ava. He trained horses, his entire life, and I was his shadow from the time I was born till the time he passed away.
He was very, very well known in the Missouri Foxtrotting Horse Breed Association, and one of his claims to fame was he trained a blind boy, 10 years old, to ride and show in the World Championships, and no one at the moment he won, no one knew that he was blind. My dad had a wireless headset under the little boy's cowboy hat, and the little boy took instructions from my dad. My dad was outside the ring, and of course it became a pretty big event.
Like I said before, my channel is called Homestead Horsemanship. I'm brand new to this, so there's going to be some growing pains. I got to get more equipment, more audio equipment, and learn how to be a little bit more flow with the camera, like Pops here.
Yeah, I'm an expert.
Yeah, I've got 3 videos out so far. I'm editing 2 more, and I have plenty more in the can. So I'd appreciate if you would check them out and subscribe. And I'm sure Dad has already taught you all that subscribing doesn't cost you anything. just basically telling YouTube that you'd be interested in seeing my content.
Yeah, you'd be doing me a good favor if you'd go over there and get him going. He needs 1,000 subscriptions, I think, before he can monetize his channel, and he has very few at the moment. I subscribed last night, and I watched his videos, and I thought they were really pretty darn good. And I think you'll find them super entertaining with the animals, especially because he takes them swimming in the river. He takes his horses out there swimming in the river, which is kind of unique. You never see that on YouTube. And it's pretty cool. So I think you'll like it, and he's got a lot more planned. So please check out Homestead Horsemanship, and I think Caleb is actually putting a link in the description as we speak here. So, well,
all right. Thank you.
You're welcome. I've got a nice program lined up for you this morning here. We're already up to 68 viewers at the moment, and heading towards that 300 mark that I want to hit again. Let's see. First thing is, I mentioned in the last shop talk, I'm still looking for a 4x4 side-by-side utility vehicle, like a Polaris Ranger. That's what I have now, but it doesn't have to be a Polaris Ranger. It could be almost anything. But anyway, I'm looking for something like that. If anybody's got a really, one in good shape that you want to make a deal with, I'll be happy to talk to you about it. And I'm willing to drive a pretty good distance to get a new one, or a new one to me, that is. The t-shirts, they've been selling like hotcakes, and I'm not kidding. Here's what we have left, and I'll show you a picture. And you can see on the top shelf, we still have quite a few. Those are the I was better, but I'm getting over it t-shirts. That's actually the thing I say the most. People are always saying to me, how are you? And I say, well, I was better, but I'm getting over it. I say that pretty much every time. Anyway, the large you can see on the left, there's quite a few. That looks like there might still be one. I don't know. I'm not even sure. I don't think there is one of the extra large. There looks like there are. Yeah, it's out of extra large, and there's a few 2Xs, and there's a couple of 3Xs there. And then on the It's Not Easy Being Me, there's a couple of larges. It looks like no extra larges, one or so 2Xs. A few 3Xs. So those are from left to right. The left is the small and the right is the large there, the biggest. So you can see on it's simple but it's complicated. All we have is 2Xs and 3Xs. Everything's a hammer. All we have is large. And then finally on the logo we have 2Xs and 3Xs. So that's what's left. Please try to order according to what's there. And when they're gone, they're gone. I'm not going to deal with it anymore. Quite honestly, it's fun to do, but it's really not a money maker. I mean, I know it seems kind of expensive to some of you, but by the time you pay shipping and the overhead that's all involved and the time for people to package them up and ship them out, everything, when you consider it all, it's just a little bit better than a break even. So it's hardly worth doing. It's just kind of fun. But when they're gone, they're gone. Okay, t-shirts, that covers that. In the last video, someone asked, oops, let me get back to the big screen. In the last video, someone asked me, how much do my mandolins weigh? Well, I'm surprised to find out that they weigh about the same. I was kind of, in one way I'm surprised, and in another way I'm like, yeah, I kind of expected that in a way, but I didn't expect them to be as close as they are. Okay, so I weighed 3 of my mandolins. I actually have them here. If anybody really, really, really wants to see all 3, if you make that a big point in the comments here, we may do that. But I number them like with a number and then I, which means that number instrument, and then another number and M for the number of mandolins. So 5I, 5th instrument, 2nd mandolin, is a redwood mandolin. It weighs, and that's when I say redwood top. It is a 2 pounds 4 ounces, or 2 pounds 4.6 ounces technically. And it was, so for my millimeter friends out there in millimeter land, that's 1 kilogram 40 grams. On the that was 4.6 ounces. Now for the sycamore mandolin, I think it was actually 2 pounds for the next one, which was 32I 26M. So it's quite a ways further down the line. It was a sycamore back and sides. It weighed 2 pounds 4 ounces, which I think it was actually 2 pounds 3 point something, and I rounded it up. I shouldn't have rounded it. But anyway, that's 1 kilogram, 16 grams for my millimeter friends. And then let's see. The last one here is 37I, so it's the 37th instrument, 29th mandolin. It's also sycamore back and sides. That's the one I play currently, and it's 2 pounds 6.5 ounces. It's the heaviest of all of them, but the difference is it has the Waverly tuning keys, number one, and number two, it has the James tailpiece. Those are milled out of solid brass, so they're a little bit heavy, although I doubt they're much heavier than the other tailpiece because they were the Monteleone brass tailpieces too. So, but my point is, the minor amount there, 2.5 ounce difference, or just roughly 2 ounce difference, is not much, number one, and I would attribute that to possibly the Waverly tuning keys and the tailpiece. And anyway, for my millimeter friends, that's 1 kilogram, 92 grams. So that gives you some idea that they're very consistent. They wanted to know that to kind of know what's a good mandolin weigh. Should it, like you don't want to be way below that probably, and you don't want to be way above that. So to me, that's probably fairly close for most mandolins that are what I would consider good mandolins. I mean, since those three were that consistent, But then again, maybe I just build an extra heavy or an extra light mandolin because I don't have a lot of other ones to compare at the moment. So there you go. The never-ending Firewood saga. This morning it was 25 degrees down in this deep valley. So here's my current status of firewood. You can see I had 4 trailer loads of wood last Saturday. 4 trailer loads. You can see that big gap between the furnace there and the pile on the left there. That big gap was 1 full trailer load plus. I mean, it's every bit of a trailer load and then probably a little bit more. So that's how much I used since Saturday. And so what's left of the pile is over there on the right, and that's approximately 3 trailer loads left. It doesn't look like it in the picture. It's kind of misleading. The picture doesn't show that full pile. The pile goes on behind it there quite a ways. But anyway, my point is, in 1 week, I burned, more than a full trailer load. So that'll give you some idea. And these temperatures have been mild until this morning. I mean, we were only in the upper 30s and mid 40s and stuff on the coldest times in this last week. So there you go. So when I'm done here, guess where I'm going? I'm going to go cut more firewood. Oh my gosh, it's just like a never-ending thing. But like I said, that's what keeps me so young and vibrant. Somebody also asked for more wildlife photos, and I did take some some video with my camera. I imagine they're pretty grainy. I forgot to get those out this morning, but I thought, well, just as a kind of a little bit to appease a little bit of that, here's a picture of a coyote that I took last year. I think I showed this on the channel already, but I thought it's such a good picture. I just think it's so cool. It was taken with a game camera. So you can see there, he's a good-looking coyote. He really is. I mean, I don't really like coyotes because we just have way too many of them. But if I was going to like a coyote, this would be the one. He's awful pretty. He's a really good-looking coyote. He got a full coat. So many of them are really, really mangy. And if you don't know what mange is, it's a disease of their skin and hair, and a lot of their hair will fall out in big patches. So many of them look like that. They get these diseases. But that one there, he's a good-looking dog right there. So anyway, I'll give you some idea. Moving right along here, we've just got a couple of demos that I'm going to do for you, and then we're going to take questions and answers. And let's see those mandolins I see over there. Okay, we'll maybe get those out too. But you can see instruments here. So I don't think there's going to be a huge difference, and you got to keep in mind, and I'm sure right now the volume I'm speaking, I'm probably overdriving that microphone. I forget to quit talking so loud. I apologize for that. But anyway, I'm looking for my pick, which I had right here a minute ago. It's crazy how that happens. It's crazy. Can't imagine where it went. I cannot imagine where my pick went. I'll find another one. I had a real tortoiseshell pick I thought would be the perfect thing to use to demonstrate these, and now it's gone. Anyway, this was the very, very, very first guitar I ever built. I had an order to build a 12-string guitar right after I built my first mandolin, and then I think I built a fiddle or something like that. And then right about that time, somebody ordered a guitar, and they wanted a 12-string. I said, well, I've never even built a guitar. So I built this guitar in 1 week while I was on vacation. The whole guitar. I mean, from start to finish, including the finish. While I had this one hanging up, applying the brushed on oil varnish is what I finished this with. The little thing I had it hanging on broke. And this thing hit the, I was turned around, putting my brush back in the thing, and I heard it hit the ground. And I turned around, and it was on its way back up. That's how it bounced. And I just grabbed it by the neck like that and caught it. And it did kind of damage it a little bit. There's a crack. I don't know if you can even see it, but there's a crack along here and along here. Actually, you can see that one, I think, if I get the camera right. That crack right, it's kind of a shadow, but it looks like a shadow, but it's actually a crack right here. Anyway, and that caused the top to sink a little bit. So it sunk just a little bit, but I've never fixed it, and it's been holding together since 1986. And this is a redwood top. People were asking me what's the best woods for tops. Well, this is redwood. Keep in mind the strings on this are pretty old. They're probably a year old. But listen to the sound of this guitar. It's a great recording guitar. I probably overdriving that mic. Lots of volume. Lots of volume. Redwood is a great wood for an instrument. Why more people don't use it and why the makers out there don't use it consistently, I don't know. I know some people have, and I know some builders have, some companies have even used it, but it's not widely used, and it's a really, really, really good top. It's for mandolins or guitars. Hard to beat, really. People come into my recording studio when I had the recording studio. I don't have it now. But anyway, and I would, they were playing their instrument, and I would kind of hear their instrument, and, I never said anything tacky to them, but I'd say, hey, why don't you give this instrument here a shot and see what you think about this? I built this one, and so they'd play it, and then they'd go, oh, can I use this to record with? And I'd say, sure. I mean, because it really records well. So anyway, so that was the redwood one. Now we move forward to almost 40 years here, 35 years, and we've got the last Hurrah guitar strung up. I wasn't going to play it for you because I thought, well, it might be a little anticlimactic for the video, but I thought, no, you guys have followed along this long. I'm going to go ahead and let you hear it. Honestly, it's surprising how close they sound together to me. I would say this one's probably probably even a little bit more punchy. It's a really good sounding guitar. I am super stoked with how well this thing turned out. There's some looks at it. Now, again, I have not buffed out the finish yet. The finish has still got little spray, you know, I don't know what you call them, spray Klingons, little dust particles and stuff in the finish. But it's overall, it's real fine. I just need to buff it out and get rid of those little things and hand polish it, you know. I still have the name covered up. I think I've got the truss rod cover finished, but I just need to put the finish on the truss rod cover. I also have to make the pick guard. I'm waiting on some material on the pick guard. After this morning's session showing you this, I'm going to put this thing back in the case, take it up to the house for safekeeping, because it's going to be a little while before the folks that are buying this can make it into the area. So, you know, I just want to put it someplace safe. I'm going to put it in my closet. Looking at there's all of a sudden the comments are scrolling like crazy, so I'm just wanting to see what you're saying. Sounds like an overdriven, yeah, it probably does. I'm trying to back up so I'm not hitting the mic so hard, but it's really loud. You know, I'm not kidding you. Like, we compared it to a Martin and a Gibson in here, and yeah, it's kind of hard to compare. This thing really is punching. It really is. It's, you know, I'm not just saying it. It really, truly is. But I'm really surprised how similar they sound to me. They sound very, very similar. That redwood is just a real punchy wood. It really is. Yeah, I love it. From where I stand, I can see all the lights of the city. For one man to love, one woman, so much it's a pity. From where I stand, I can see the cantina she goes to, where she's not supposed to, but goes anyway. From where I stand, I can hear the music and laughter. Camilla tells me that's what her young heart is after. But I see it differently. I see her there with a man. Camilla is lying, I see it from where I stand. Camilla is lying, I see it from where I stand. It just hit me. Sorry. I wrote that song back when I was 18. I was going to send it to Marty Robbins, and somewhere about that time he died. So it sat on the shelf for 30 years, and then when I was 48 I finished it. I just showed you the part I wrote when I was 18. So I wrote the rest of it when I was 48. And you'll hear that in a future video coming up. As a matter of fact, I think it's in the 0018, that instrument I've been showing you the last couple of weeks. It went back to the owner, and he was tickled to have it. That was kind of a coincidental story too. We called him, we knew he's from Missouri, and so we called him to tell him that it was ready, and he goes, I just happened to be passing through Rolla right now, he said. So he just swung by and came, but he's from a couple hours away actually, and he just happened to be in Rolla at the moment we called him, which I thought was pretty funny, really. How coincidental is that? Yeah, I really like it. The sustain on this thing, it's just like you can have 2 birthdays before it quits ringing. I mean, it just sustains forever. It just really does. Just forever. And you can just feel it vibrate the whole body. So, you know, all that to say that, you know, you put all that work into these things. And, you know, like I told you before, if you do all that work and you're really careful, you can pretty much guarantee they're going to sound good, but you don't know it until you know it. You know, and you're always either pleasantly surprised or you're kind of going, what about that, you know? And I've had a few you know, when I first string them up a couple of times over the years, but I was always able to figure it out and fix it, you know, whatever the little was, you know. And usually it's anything real big. Just could be some minor thing, just in your setup even sometimes. But anyway, that one is set up pretty well, and like I said, I'm gonna, as soon as we're done with this thing, I'm gonna go put it in a case. I'm gonna haul it up to the house, and then I'll be finishing up the truss rod cover and the pick guard, and kind of waiting around for those folks to be able to make it into the area here. So anyway, let's move on to the next thing. And I've already told you the status of the 0018 Martin. That's got finished, and the guy picked it up and just loved it. I was really happy with that. That one sounded really good too, and you'll hear that one in the video. And as a matter of fact, I think I played that same song on that Martin in the video. Let's see, I think that covers everything I had on my list this morning. And boy, this thing has been scrolling up the screen, so let me scroll back up and see if I see a comment or two that maybe I would have missed. And I mean, there's been a lot of comments flying through here. 176 viewers at the moment. And I'm just looking. Is there an instrument image gallery? I'd love to see both your builds and big repairs. Not too much, Byron. I really, yeah, probably should have something like that, but I just don't at the moment. You know, in addition to that, it kind of makes me think of the same kind of thing. My biggest regret in this whole thing in my whole life, and I've told Caleb this, and I hope he will do something about it when he opens his own shop, is that I did not put a label in everything I touched. I should have put a label in everything, and you know, repaired by, you know, restored, or you know, whatever I did to it, maybe some kind of a label. And I never did that. There would be thousands of instruments out there with my labels in them, just thousands. I mean, yeah, I can't even tell you how many, just thousands. But I never did that, and that's probably my biggest regret of all this. And people might say now, why don't you do it now? Well, it's kind of late now, you know. It's not like it's going to make much difference at this point. And by the way, I updated my website this morning on the front page and the back page. I already had it on the repair page, but on the front page and back page, I said, please do not ship instruments to me. I am not accepting shipped-in instruments, you know. We just got one shipped in yesterday, and I'm not sure where that came from. I don't recall expecting one, so I think it might be unsolicited. In the future, if they come in unsolicited, I'm probably just going to hang on to them until the people come pick them up. I mean, I'm going to be kind of ornery about it, because it's just, you know, I can't control it, and you shouldn't send them to me without prior authorization. So you're gonna play heck getting them back if you're going to send them to me. I just, you know, the hands are gone. I mean, that's just the truth of it. They're gone. And what little bit I got left, I'm going to be greedy and spend it for myself. So there you go. Can you explain the internal bracing on an acoustic guitar and why the braces are put where they are and the difference placement? And I would say to Paul, and this is going to sound like a smart aleck answer. It really is, but it's the truthful answer, and that is no, I can't explain it. That's the truth. I can't. I didn't invent it. I didn't decide it. I didn't have anything to do with it. I just use what's already there. I'm by that like I am by the Stradivari things. He got it. He did it pretty dang well. You know, there's been bazillions of people try to do it better, and nobody's really done it any better. So to me, I take what's tried and true and just try to add my own flair to it and try to add my own little flavor to it, but I don't try to reinvent it. So to me, Paul, I can't explain it. No, I don't have a good guess. And you know, there'll be people out there on forums, etc., that'll tell you just exactly why it's that way. And most of them are just blowing smoke. They don't know their, you know what, from a hole in the ground. And that's the truth. So there you go. And that's the way I feel about the Stradivari thing too. People have to, they just try to lay it off on the dumbest things. He mixed insect wings in his varnish. You know, he pickled his wood in salt water. He had the old growth timber, which he did have. You know, the bottom line is he used the best of everything he could find, and he did it thousands of times. That some people attribute something like 2,000 to 3,000 instruments that went through his shop. Well, when you do something that much, you kind of get good at it, you know. It's kind of like me on some of the things I do, like using that finger plane. I can control that little sucker better than just about anybody I know, you know. And I'm not bragging. It's just something you've done so much that you just know how to do it, you know. It's like sharpening a lawnmower blade for me. For me, it's second nature. I can walk up to that grinder and just put one hollow grind all the way across that blade. You maybe not so much if you haven't done that 1,000 times like I have, you know. I've done that, I couldn't even tell you how many times in my life, because I did it for my dad for years and years in his lawn service. That's my point. It's not bragging on me. I'm not trying to do that. I'm trying to explain why certain things are the way they are. And the reason Stradivari violins are the way they are is because he knew what he was doing. And he did it really well. It's got nothing to do with all these little esoteric, crappy things that people think it is. And they will just tell you like it's a fact that they have scientifically proven this or that. And the truth is they don't know their, you know what, from a hole in the ground. And that's the truth. At least that's my opinion, and I'm sticking to it. You can choose to believe what you want to. The guitar is absolutely beautiful. Thank you, Jordan. I really appreciate that. Loud, bright, and woody. Yeah, and keep in mind, this mic especially is terrible. It's just terrible. It's not good at all. It's really a crummy mic. The mic on the camera is, you know, just a little built-in mic, but it does a much, much, much better job on the bench camera. That one actually sounds pretty good, really, considering what it is, you know. But this mic, not so much. It's pretty bad. Lots of nice comments there, so thank you all for that. I appreciate it. It's very, you know, satisfying, gratifying, relief. It's almost like somebody took this elephant off your chest when you finally get to hear it. Because you just, all the way through it, you kind of know, but you don't know until you know. That's just the bottom line. And I know now, and it's a good one. It's a killer, actually. It's absolutely awesome. Several people are commenting on my song. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. It was one of my favorite songs I wrote. I really like it because it flows so easy. It's just an easy one to sing. I really like that song. I kind of wish I would have got it done early on and sent it to Marty, because I have a feeling he would have recorded it. I really do, because it just fit his style perfectly. What gauge type of strings do you have on the last Hurrah? On that one, I went ahead with mediums. Knowing the folks that are going to be playing this thing, I thought that would probably suit them the best. So I went with mediums. I would have probably preferred to put lights on it, honestly. Melissa, she used to work here. Remember Melissa? She says, wow, that guitar is amazing. Yeah, it is amazing, Melissa. Yeah, I wish you were here to hear it. It's yeah. And if the folks that are buying it don't like it, I'll be happy to give them a refund. Trust me, that quick I'll give them a refund. If they even say one little minor thing negative about it, I'm going to give them a refund. Let's see. Good morning from Spring, Texas. Let's see here. Well, their folks are from all over. Here's another question mark. Why not come to South Mississippi during cold months and avoid some firewood work? We stay much warmer. Yeah, you're right, Herschel, but then I'd probably get all stove up from not doing anything active. Yesterday, I took a 2.5-mile walk around this farm. I went over the hills and around. I just did it to loosen myself up. I'm telling you, I get so, this arthritis thing or whatever it is, I don't even know what it is. I'm calling it arthritis. Whatever it is, it's just eating me up. It really is. And my feet are drawed up, and they're just, yeah, you wouldn't even believe it if you could feel the tendons things in my feet. They're just, it's like iron rods going through my feet. It's really bad. So I just do what I can to stay as loose as I can, and the firewood actually kind of helps. Do you ever mix stain or dye and finish? Yes, I do, John. I've done that a lot, and I use airbrushes and all kinds of things when I do it. This particular guitar has no color added to it whatsoever. It's all absolutely 100% natural. Every bit of the color you see is from its own natural, wood or whatever, like this rosette with the yellow and that kind of thing, and the yellow up here, that's all natural wood. There's no color added anywhere on anything. So in other words, the varnish is clear. Now keep in mind it's an oil varnish, so when I say clear, it's it's got a little bit of a tint to it. That's just the way it is. Oh, thank you for the donation there. Time for hot chocolate. Yeah, I agree with that one. Yeah, people are always talking about coffee. Well, not so much with my taste buds. My son this morning says, it's funny about coffee, because he drinks coffee. I don't. But he says it's funny about coffee. He says once you get past that, terrible taste, and he used a not so nice word. I said, well, yeah, that's the problem. I can't get past that taste. He says, then you're hooked on it. You got to have it every morning. Well, not me. I can't get past the taste. So there you go. I'm not hooked on it. Let's see. Let me read some more of these. We've got a bunch of comments scrolling in fast. Do you ever mix stain? Or I did that one already. Let's see. Is there enough to be gained by scalloping braces to justify cracking open a guitar? Well, Gordon, that's a really hard question to answer, Gordon. Yes and no. It really is. It's kind of like that problem that people always come to me with. Is this worth fixing? I guess my standard answer is, if it's worth it to you, it's worth doing. And just know, before you open a guitar, you're opening a can of worms. So, it's not easy. There's no zipper on an instrument. People think that there's some magic way to open them. No, you're busting it when you're opening it. That's really what you're doing. And you can sugarcoat it, and you can make it sound nicer and all these things. But the truth is, you're breaking it. That's the truth. That's the bottom line hard facts that you ought to learn right up front. When you're taking an instrument apart, I don't care if you're just taking the fretboard off or what you're doing, you're breaking it. And it's a destructive process, and you ought to just know that and not think differently about it. And people try to put all this stuff on pedestals, and they try to sugarcoat all these things with all these fancy terms and words. No, you're just breaking it, and you should expect that it's going to break in ways you don't expect when you do take it apart. So Gordon, the answer, that's why I can't give you just a black and white answer, is if it's worth it to you and it's worth all that hassle and heartache and headache, then it's probably worth it. But no, otherwise, no. It's a lot of work to scallop it. Yeah, I don't know. And then the problem is, people go too far on their scalloping, and then You know, where you really do better on scalloping, in my opinion, on your bracing, is to keep your bracing narrow but taller. Keep it narrow but taller, and then scallop that little bit of tallness out of it if you want to. But don't get your braces so wide and then scallop them so thin, thinking, because they're not as strong that way as they are skinny and taller. You know, that's just the black and white facts of the way lumber works, you know. That's why they make floor joists skinny and tall, not short and thick, you know. I mean, you know, it should just make sense to most of you, I think. So anyway, that's my point about scalloping. Be careful about it. Know what you're doing if you're going to scallop it. Okay. Would a store-bought tailpiece work as well as your homemade coat hanger wire setter upper? Yeah, anything that would work on the end there will work. The reason I do it the homemade way is because I can just hook it on the tail pin. Where if you put a tailpiece on there, for the most part, most of the time, you're going to have to drill some screw holes or something to attach it. I mean, I guess you could wire the tailpiece down to the tail pin also. You just want to be really careful how you do that so you don't make a big bunch of scratch marks and stuff. So, yeah, sure, Tom, you could do that. Again, thanks for that donation there, and it just all scrolled up the screen so far. Gee whiz, I just touched the mouse wheel here, and it just it shoots up maybe 30, 40 comments at a time. John C, is a violin bridge turnable or can change the shape of the kidney hole? Is it effect? Well, okay, I think you're talking about a violin bridge, which basically, can you turn it around? Not really, not normally. It's really kind of hard to explain. Let's pretend that's vertical, okay? Pretend that's perfectly straight up and down. The back of the bridge is a little bit like that, okay? I'm exaggerating it. They're not like this. They're not parallel. So this angle goes to the back, and that angle is where they have the name on it also, and the name goes to the back toward the tailpiece. Here's a violin bridge that my able-bodied assistant just brought to me. And if you put this on here like this, this face here is 90 degrees. This face here is not. And the words go to the back, to the tailpiece. So you really shouldn't turn them around. That's kind of the way you just do it. And hope that makes sense to you. Is it going to make a huge, huge, huge difference in your sound? Probably not. I mean, if you're just being truthful about it. You know, so many things just don't make that much difference. It's more tradition and the way you just do it. And the reason you do it that way is you want that note to hit that last, you know, straight down into the top. You know what I mean? Anyway, at least that's my thinking on it. I want to hear you sing again. Well, gee whiz. Thank you. You must like rope burns. Just kidding, just kidding. Thank you, I appreciate it. When am I going to get my diploma from your college course? Well,
when you pay tuition.
Yeah. Oh, Caleb, he should have been on camera for that one. He says, when you pay your tuition. Yes, that's right. Pay your tuition and I'll send you a diploma. And it's not cheap, by the way. That's funny. People have more fun than anybody. They really do. Yeah, I've got that kind of arthritis. You're right. Is that the last? Whoa, guitar. I'm not sure what that means, but yeah, I guess it is. It's the last guitar. You know, I say that, and yet I don't own one of my nicer models. You know, I've got that one, you know, and it was the first one I built. So I might build an upgraded model for me too down the road here if I feel up to it. You know, I'm going to need to find plenty of things to film and keep going because I don't plan to give up the channel. You know, I feel like we got a good thing going here and I want to keep it going. And we're up to 224 viewers. So, hey, we might hit 300. Come on, guys. Come on. Let's get to over 300 again. I think we used to hit over 300 when we first started this. All right, let's move on a little bit here and see if I can find another question. And actually, I'm not seeing any question marks. Remember to put the double question mark in front there so I can find it easier because it's hard to find these things. Let's see. Concerning the tailpiece thing, your homemade one is often too shallow when you set the intonation of the saddle and the strings are too narrow. Well, Marcus, you know, I do things to compensate for that, like, and you'll probably see that in this video. You know, on this, when I set the intonation for this, and I feel like the intonation is about as good on this as you'll ever get. When I set the intonation for this, I had my tailpiece thing hanging back here, and yeah, the strings are a little bit narrow on that. I could widen that, it's not that big a deal. But all I did was I just put a little groove in the saddle that went right over these pins, and no big deal. So yeah, I try to get everything as close to the final as I can, including the action. I adjusted that temporary saddle that I was setting the intonation with. I adjusted it till I got it the action really close, because all of that matters. If you don't take all that into account, you'll still get your saddle in the wrong place. So you try to get everything as close to the final as you can when you're setting that intonation. Intonation is the most important thing, and that intonation on that guitar is really good. The intonation on the old guitar, I'll be honest, that was the first guitar I ever built, it's not that good. I really would like to just take time and fix all of that on that guitar. That guitar would even sound better. It sounds really good now, but it would sound even better. Let's see. Will taking the pick guard off of an acoustic guitar make it sound better? Yeah. I don't know on that one. I would say there will be cases where that would be the case, especially because you see some pick guards that are just really crummy. I mean, like huge, thick, just terrible things. So in some cases, I'd say that's probably true, but in the norm, I would say it's not going to make that much difference on the good pick guard type instruments. Not shallow but narrow, sorry. Not shallow but narrow. Whatever you want to say, just fine. You know, this is not an English class. If you get my point of what I'm telling you, then the point was well taken. And you know, you can use any word you want to use, and I'm just happy to let you use it. If you came here for English, you came here for the wrong reason. How much would that guitar cost? Well, that guitar, you know, my guitars are selling for right around $6,500, so there you go. You prefer a particular brand of case, especially when you ship a guitar? Well, every time I settle on a case, and this is a black and white fact, I am not exaggerating this fact at all. Every single time I have settled on a case in my 40 years, and I've done it many times, every time, those cases go out of business or those cases are no longer available for whatever reason. This last time, the reason was COVID. I'm trying to remember the name of that case that comes from England or UK, Cossacks or something like that. I can't even remember the brand name. You know me and names, I can't remember names. But anyway, I settled on those and they were great cases. I liked them. And then you just couldn't get them. So there you go. So, you know, I don't have a brand that I really like the best because I can't, if I say it, you won't be able to buy it anyway. Do you have a preference, or which do you enjoy more, working on an acoustic or an electric guitar? Well, I'm all acoustic, so that's an easy one. I don't do electrics. I mean, I've worked on a few electrics, don't get me wrong, but mostly just setup or something like that. I got nothing against, I want you to be sure you understand this. I got nothing against electric instruments or electric music. That's just not what I'm into. I'm into acoustic. And I like to hear Vince Gill play his electric guitar, and again, I can't remember names. The young guy he's just a killer electric guitar player, country guy. I never can think of his name. He's really good though. Anyway, I like to hear those guys play, but no, I'm into acoustics, so that's an easy question for me. It's just I like to work on acoustic instruments. Do you have a favorite tuner? I like the Snark. Is there a better one? Snark's really good. Someone gave me the Peterson strobe tuner for the mandolin, and that I clip on my mandolin. It's very similar looking to a Snark, except that it's rectangular instead of round. But I mean, the clip and all that works kind of the same way. And I really have kind of fallen in love with my Peterson. It's much more expensive, the strobe tuners, and they're kind of a pain to kind of get used to, because they got these things just scrolling back and forth, and it kind of messes with your head the first time you use a strobe tuner like that. But once you get used to them, yeah, I like it. I like my Peterson strobe tuner a lot. And so thank you to whoever that was that sent it to me, and I wish I could call your name, but you know me and names. I can't remember them, so there you go. But I do really appreciate whoever sent that to me, because I use it all the time. I really like it. But I do like the Snarks. The Snarks are good tuners. And I especially like the Snark because of the cost versus what you get. Now, granted, they break easy. There's all kinds of problems with the Snarks also. But if you take care of them and you treat them gently and all that kind of thing, they're a great tuner, for the money especially. Boy, that just scrolled again. Oh, that's terrible. It goes so far when it does it. And then I'm a slow reader, so it takes me a while to find it. Okay. When you talk about flat or radius fretboard on a mandolin, what is the average mandolin radius? It's 12 inches. That's kind of the norm. In fact, it's pretty rare when it's something other than that, but it does happen. Somebody asked earlier what gauge strings you have on the first and last guitars. That first guitar, honestly, well, let's just measure it because I don't know. I think the first one is mediums also, but I could be wrong. It could be lights. Let me just measure it real quick. Yeah, it's lights. Yeah, the old guitar's got lights. This one's got mediums, though it's not measuring all that quite to the... Yeah, it's got mediums. Yeah, so that one has lights, this one has mediums. And that also kind of stands to tell you that, with a softer redwood top and having light strings, how much punch that guitar still has too. And it still has a lot of punch, even with lights on it. So there you go. So we weren't comparing apples and apples by any stretch, because you got two different top boards, and you got even the back and sides are different, because that one is Paduke and this one is rosewood. Redwood top. That's a tongue twister. Redwood top, rosewood back and sides. Anyway, let's see. Somebody asked earlier. Okay, I got that. Can you make a video of your fishing pond in use with someone fishing? Well, maybe. Our little pond, is for as small as it is, it's really deep. It's like 11 feet deep. It's got some major fish in it, really. It's got some pretty big fish. We've had people pull out 5-6 pound catfish out of there. We've had them pull out, 3 and 4 pound bass. And then there's some giant, trying to get in the camera here. I mean, like 4 foot long grass carp in there. Funny story, side note here. I had some guys installing the furnace in my old shop, which is now the rental retreat. Anyway, I had them installing the furnace there. They were taking a lunch break, and it was a nice summer day, and they went over there and they sat on the bank of that pond. This guy comes running up to the house where I was. He goes, "Oh, I've never seen a catfish that big in my life." He said it was 4 feet long. Those grass carp have whiskers sometimes, and you can see them stick out of the water, you know. He was pretty excited. He said, "That thing had to weigh 50 pounds." And they do. They weigh about 50 pounds. They're really big. They're huge. Anyway, I thought that was funny. He was so excited, you can't even explain how excited that boy was. Let's see, $8,000 I think could probably get more. Okay, can you make a video? Okay, fishing. I'm still searching here. What size frets do you normally use on your guitars? I use medium frets. I don't like the big ones and I don't like the little tiny ones on guitars. I just like the standard guitar medium fret. Cheers from Italy. I was in Italy. It's awesome. And my exchange student, Matteo, he lived here with us for a little over a year, is from Italy. He comes back just about every single year and visits us. Really good guy and has his own business. He took over from his father after his father passed away. And they build, it's custom made in their own shop. They make this monitoring equipment for like biofeedback. They actually stick all over your body, you know, like elite athletes and things like that. Plus they use it in the medical field too. And his are the only ones that are apparently waterproof, so swimmers can wear them while they're swimming, and they gives them biofeedback. It's pretty cool. And anyway, his father invented all that technology, or at least the technology that they use. And anyway, so he took over that company. So Matteo, he travels all over the world. And so hello to my friends in Italy there. Giacomo is the way I would pronounce it. I probably just blew that big time, but nice to talk to you. Let's see here. And again, it just did it to me again. It scrolled like crazy. Bill Webb, he's been here a number of times, a good guy, rides the big motorcycles. Yeah, you don't know you're blank from a hole in the ground, he's saying. He hadn't heard that in a long time. Well, trust me, you'd hear around here because there's a lot of that going around, especially these days. There's just a lot of folks out there just touting that they know everything about everything. And I hope you'd ever hear me say it that way. That's not the way I say it. I always say there's more than one way to do everything. And no matter how much you think you know, you can always learn something else. And I do all the time. I mean, I'm constantly learning. All I do here is show you what I do and how I do it. And you should just know that it's not the only way, it's just the way I do it. When can we hear your band live again? Well, Bob, we're working on that. We really are. Honestly, Bob, I'm having trouble getting motivated with that. That's the truth. It's this stuff again. I'm just having trouble getting motivated to do it. It's just not like it used to be for me. Whatever happened to the 12-string I built? It's in a case in safekeeping at the house at the moment. Because like I told you, we lost track of that fellow, and the things that we think we found out about that fellow are not good, and therefore it's just going to sit here until we know something else. And that may be forever. Are you Italian? Well, Danny, that's the family tree says that we are. We've got the oldest Bible in the family came from the folks that immigrated from apparently Genoa, Italy. And we've got a really long story article. It's a full-page newspaper article. I mean, the whole complete page is full of describing that fellow's life and how he moved and immigrated to Missouri, and oh, it's just an amazing, cool article. Just the coolest article. I wish I could share it with all of you because it is the coolest article. It really is. It not just because it's my family, you know, and my great 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 grandfather, whatever he is, but it's really a cool article. We've got it framed and in the house, up at the house. So I guess I'm Italian, you know, but you know, when my brother did the genetic testing, I think it was, and it showed up as a very small percentage. So it's kind of funny. It's just the names carried through is really what it amounts to, because we really have a lot of Scotch Irish. Apparently, because of the Dupuytren's contraction here, apparently that's got something to do with Vikings and that. So we've probably got that kind of blood too. So we're more European, I guess you'd say, and you know, Italian being European also, I guess. But we're other things more than Italian, technically, I guess. But the name is Italian, for sure. Okay, let's see here. We're at 9:03, so I think I'll just take one or two more questions. Are you planning to occasionally accept any requests for work on guitars? Only if you walk them through the door. And again, it's just because of this. And Caleb is, you know, waning. We're waning down our time here, and Caleb will be gone sometime between now and Christmas for sure. So we're just winding down, and you know, it's a sad thing for me, kind of, but on the other hand, it's just kind of has to happen. You know, I just need to find some time to do other things, for one thing. It's, you know, people kind of normally retire at my age now. I got lucky. I got to retire twice. I retired when I was 45 or 46, 46 I think it was. In 2001, I retired from AT&T. And so now I get to retire again. And after two nice long careers, really. So, do you remember the name of Mateo's company? Yeah, it's Cometa Systems, C-O-M-E-T-A Systems. And Cometa, well, anyway, I'm actually, believe it or not, I'm actually their distributor here in the United States. Now, they don't have a big presence in the United States. He's got lots of colleges as his customers here in the United States, and some hospitals and things like that. So he ships the stuff to me directly, and then I rebox it, or sometimes rebox it, and then reship it back out to, you know, to these colleges and to these hospitals for him. You didn't know I did all that, did you? It doesn't keep me that busy, to be perfectly truthful about it, because like I said, he's much bigger in other countries than he is here. He goes all over the world. I mean, he just goes everywhere. Cometa Systems. All right, one last question. Let's see if we can make it a good one here. Peter asks, I'll take two questions. Peter's asking me, he says he loves the last Hurrah, and would I ever consider selling the first guitar? And the answer is, Peter, absolutely 100% no. I will not sell it. It's going to stay in the family. I've already willed it to my daughter, my oldest daughter. The other question that I'm going to take here, I see another one, so I'll answer it too. Caleb on YouTube. Caleb will continue to be on YouTube, yes. About to put curly maple binding. This will be the last question. So it says Paul, P-A-W, Walton, Paul Walton. He's about to put curly maple binding on a guitar. Is there anything to look out for? I can't help but laugh at that one, Paul. Yeah, it's a challenge. That's just the truth of it. Make it as thin as you can make it. Make it as smooth. I mean, like smooth as you can make it. Do not allow any little tiny vertical marks in the binding at all before you try to start bending it. Make it just glass smooth. And then hope and pray a lot. And make it as thin as you can make it. In other words, if you can laminate a lot of other pieces to it and just use the curly maple as the outside edge, you'll be better off. Curly maple does not like to bend in tight bends, especially up this upper bout up here. Good luck with that. I mean, you know, you may not have any trouble at all, but I have all kinds of trouble bending curly maple when you're bending it that tight, and yeah, it just is tough to do. So yeah, there's things to look out for. Unfortunately, you're going to discover 90% of them on your own. That's about the best I can help you with it. Truly is. Just make it really, really smooth and make it as thin as you can get away with, and you'll do better. Make sure your heat is really, good. You don't want a light heat on it. You're going to want a lot of heat on it, and you're going to want to have a backer on it, like a piece of a real thin aluminum or something like that, to wrap all the way around it and pull on the aluminum, not on the piece you're trying to bend, because that will spread the stress out. Yeah, it's hard to do. It really is hard to do. It's not simple at all. So there you go. Well, thank you all for tuning in this morning. 267. That's definitely a new record for the moment. Yeah, we didn't quite hit 300. We might have been higher than 267. But thank you so much for tuning in, guys. I really appreciate it. I hope you got something out of this morning. Do me a real big favor and go over and watch my son's channel, and please subscribe to it. It won't cost you nothing, and even if you never watch another video, just subscribe to his channel. That'll help him get up over his 1,000, and then he'll be able to get it monetized and things and get moving with his channel. So thank you so much. We'll see you next Friday morning, same time, same place.